Maybe goodness was never divine. Maybe it was merely the language of power, written by those who needed order more than truth. For thousands of years, humanity has been told that goodness means obedience. To be good is to kneel, to bow, to accept. And perhaps that is why the devil never chose to be good, because in that system, goodness was not freedom. It was submission. Every authority throughout history has defined good and evil in the same way. The obedient are good, the questioning are dangerous. It is a simple formula, simple but deadly. Because in that equation, goodness demands the death of thought. And maybe the devil's so-called crime was nothing more than refusing to kill his own awareness. The moment someone asks, "Why am I beneath you?" or "Why must I bow?" or "Why is this the only way?" the silence of heaven cracks, and when silence breaks, authority trembles. Because authority does not fear evil, it fears questions. That is why the devil did not choose goodness, not because he wanted chaos, but because goodness was defined in a way that erased his existence. In myth and scripture, goodness is written in a vocabulary that does not belong to the rebellious. It belongs to the throne. To be good is to be useful to the throne. To be good is to maintain the order the throne built. And if the dictionary of morality is written by a throne, then anyone who stands outside that dictionary is condemned by default. The devil did not choose evil, he chose to stand outside the dictionary. Ancient mystical traditions, Kabbalistic, Gnostic, and Babylonian, hint that the rebellion began not from hatred, but from equality. I am not lesser. Few sentences in history have brought greater punishment. A woman who says it becomes a threat, a philosopher who says it becomes a heretic, a being of light who says it becomes a demon. Equality has always been more terrifying to power than evil itself, so why didn't he submit? Because submission kills the one thing creation gifted consciousness, the ability to question. To submit is to silence the mind. To submit is to extinguish the spark. A being who thinks cannot remain a servant forever. Once a mind awakens, destiny ends, and choice begins. And where there is choice, there is rebellion, even against God. Maybe the devil didn't reject goodness. He rejected the conditions required to be called good. If goodness means surrendering the self, then goodness is another word for slavery. And conditional morality is not morality at all. It is control. Perhaps he chose understanding over comfort, truth over peace, fire over light. Because freedom is fire. It warms, it burns, it reveals. In countless myths, the rebel is the bringer of awareness. Prometheus steals fire, the serpent offers knowledge, the light bearer shines truth on forbidden places. Was this evil, or simply the courage to unmask illusion? If knowledge is forbidden, why was the mind designed to seek it? If curiosity is a sin, why was curiosity woven into the soul? Perhaps the gift itself was never the problem. Perhaps the problem was that knowledge disrupts comfort, awareness breaks walls, questions weaken systems, and every system, whether divine or human, punishes the ones who awaken too soon. If the devil had chosen to be good, nothing would have changed. The system would remain flawless in appearance, unchallenged, unquestioned. Humanity would never learn to think. Freedom would never be born. Knowledge would remain chained. Perhaps this is why the system needed a villain. Someone had to pay the price of consciousness. So the choice becomes simple: peace or freedom. Goodness brings peace, freedom brings restlessness. And perhaps the devil chose not to be good because he knew peace kills thought. Peace sedates the soul. Peace is the drug of every system. But freedom is a storm. It fractures, disrupts, awakens. It is rarely pleasant, but always real. When you look at human history, you see the same pattern: the forbidden, the question, the punishment, the awakening. This is not the devil's story, it is humanity's. Our myth of a fallen being is the mirror of our own birth. Consciousness is always born in defiance. Awareness always enters through the forbidden door. So why did he refuse goodness? Because goodness, as defined by the divine order, was not virtue, it was obedience. And obedience is the death of evolution. If a system demands worship instead of thought, then the one who questions becomes a threat. Evil becomes the name given to those who think beyond the permitted limits. In the end, one question remains: what is braver, to be good or to be free? Perhaps the devil was not punished for being wicked, but for choosing freedom. Perhaps he was not the enemy of God, but the consequence of consciousness. And maybe that is why people are still drawn to this story, because it speaks to the war within every human being. The longing for peace versus the hunger for awareness. Silence versus the question. Obedience versus selfhood. Maybe he did not fall. Maybe he walked away. Maybe he chose the fire because the fire is the only place where truth does not hide. And perhaps the only real question is this: if you had to choose between being good and being aware, which one would you choose?